Welcome in, everybody, to the CFB Nation All-America podcast. I'm Bill Trocchi, senior editor at sportingnews.com, alongside Bill Bender, our national college football writer at sportingnews.com, and the president of the Football Writers Association of America. We're coming to you live on our CFB Nation YouTube channel again. If you want to subscribe, just go over to youtube.com, search CFB Nation, and click subscribe. This weekend was the time change where everyone dropped back an hour. We're dropping back 2 hours here at CFB Nation. It's coming to you at 8:30. Usually we're at 9:30 a.m. We had an event come up, unavoidable. So Father Penny is not here yet. Hopefully he joins at some point and sees the notification. But we are going to you 8:30 to 9. And then tonight we have another show at 8 o'clock during the CFP rankings show on ESPN. And we'll give you our instant reaction with Brian Driscoll of Irish Breakdown. Bill, I got an email this morning from LinkedIn, one of those, that they just kind of send the emails to you, whatever. And the subject line was, "You may know Bill Bender."
Oh, I hope so. We're not.
I know Bill Bender?
We're not connected on LinkedIn. I don't check LinkedIn a lot. So, no, we should be, if not. But yeah, I think
we should be connected already, I think.
I would hope so. Yeah, we talk every single day.
Twice today with the 2 shows. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm encouraging our listeners to check out the CFP show tonight. Brian will have opinions. We do have a projection at Sporting News on. I took a stab at maybe not what it ends up looking like, but actually what I think it should look like. And,
the whole top 25 you took a stab at.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, we'll see what it looks like. This one always creates the largest reaction of all of the playoff rankings. But it gives you a feel, and we'll see what happens tonight. But super excited about that show tonight. Super excited to recap a couple things from week 10. I mean, it's already week 11. So yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how fast this season has gone. To me, it's faster than normal. But anyway, yeah, we'll get into the whole ACC picture. Arch Manning looked like the guy we thought he was going to look like. Some more SEC talk, and then some Heisman talk. And, of course, Hugh Freeze being out at Auburn. But first, some Trocchi trivia. You got some work to do, Bill. You're going to be pondering this one, all right? But I think you can get it, but it's kind of difficult. As we talked last week, 9 of the teams in the initial top 12 made the playoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you name the 3 that fell out and the 3 that came from outside the top 12 that made it? So from week 1, the initial CFP rankings,
right?
Who fell out, and then who ended up in the field, who was initially outside the field. That one's probably easier than the other one. But anyway, so we'll answer that question at the end of the show. Let's get into our Week 10 recap. And it starts with Miami getting upset by SMU on the road, 26-20 in overtime. I believe this is the 6th time Mario Cristobal has lost as a double-digit favorite at Miami, which is not a good number. Carson Beck with the critical interception in overtime, just like he had the critical interceptions in the loss to Louisville. What do you make of Miami this year? They were number 2 not long ago. Now they're floating in the 16 to 18 range.
Well, if you look at the box score and you would go down, I'm doing it right now, you would think that Miami won this football game. SMU had 23 rushing attempts for 25 yards. Was 3 of 13 on third down. But the 2 differences were the two interceptions and 12 penalties for 96 yards. Anytime a team has close to 100 penalty yards, you're setting yourself for an upset. And I guess, beyond the memes that you see right now that do the Miami cycle, that is, it goes from preseason hype, strong September, shocking losses, second tier bowl victory. That's kind of, and then it repeats itself again. And it's crazy to me because 3 weeks ago I was on here saying, yeah, they're kind of the team I want to see play Ohio State. And I still kind of do because of what they have up front on both sides, with Ruben Bain and Francis Mauigoa and that offensive line. And It's just so yeah, that was a bad throw in overtime. And now in this ACC, they face a little bit of a crowded house. I got to dig in and do the tiebreakers,
They're in seventh place.
Right.
Seventh
Like
place.
there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 teams in the ACC have one loss or less, 5 with one loss in conference play, and then Miami. So I mean, I'm telling you, they could probably maybe still get in because they would have to finish 6-2. They're going to need Georgia Tech to lose. They're going to need Pitt and Louisville to lose, and we're running out of games. So
Right.
my point is this for our Notre Dame listeners: you could get to the end of the year and Notre Dame would be 10-2, and Miami could be 10-2, and people would say, "Well, why isn't Miami ranked ahead of them?" And I think it's going to come down to these losses and not having an outlet to play in the ACC championship game. That will start an argument later, though, because Miami did have the head-to-head victory against Notre Dame, but I don't think it matters. Notre Dame will probably be ranked higher tonight.
They're 6 spots higher, I think, in the
Right.
AP poll right now. So that head-to-head went out the window quickly with the AP voters. We'll see what the CFP committee thinks tonight. That's a good point, because it seemed like Miami was going to be a roadblock if both were 10-2, but if ND's ahead of them tonight, that's a good sign for ND fans.
Right.
All right, so let's stay in the ACC. Georgia Tech, no longer undefeated. They lost at NC State on homecoming for the Wolfpack, and the homecoming just meant a free pass to the end zone, it seemed like, all night. Georgia Tech lost 48-36. NC State gained 583 yards. They scored on 8 of their 11 possessions, 6 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Haynes King, ironically, had his best statistical game of the season as they're talking about Heisman, and then he fell off the Heisman picture because they lost. But he threw for 408 yards, ran for 103, accounted for 4 touchdowns, but just wasn't enough. Georgia Tech, they were down double digits the last 10 minutes of this game. It just felt like Georgia Tech's defense Georgia Tech's offense had to score every single time it had the ball, and that's a big ask on the road. They had to settle for a couple field goals, especially one. They were 4th and goal at the half-yard line. They jumped off sides, settled for a field goal there, and they needed every point they could get because Georgia Tech's defense was just horrendous.
Yeah, and this is for a major program we would call it a mulligan, but that was just it. You step into a game like that and gave up that many total yards. You mentioned Haynes King having a huge game, and I think the problem here for Georgia Tech is they'll fall behind Louisville, and they'll definitely fall behind Virginia. Virginia has better point differential. Kind of controls their own destiny in the ACC race. So for Georgia Tech too, as we get into the final month of the season, they still got to play Pitt. Pitt's hot. Very hot Pitt team, and then they got to play Georgia, obviously. So what Georgia could run into, and I think this is part of your trivia question, is they could go to the ACC championship with 2 losses if they lose to Georgia, win that second game you're in at 2 losses, lose there, you could go to the ACC championship, have this great season, finish with 3 losses, be left out. I think they're in danger of, because that's my way of telling you the ACC is probably a 1-bid league now. And we had talked when we were at ACC kickoff about how this conference had kind of beefed up, but the combination of a couple things, Notre Dame being in the mix, the Big 12 might have 2 playoff teams that play each other twice. We'll talk about them more later this week. And, the SEC team's trying to scramble in. So I think the ACC is in trouble. This is the big contradiction of this era is ACC football is exciting. The games are great. It's good to have parity within the conference because you have excitement. Like I said, 7 teams with 1 loss. The downside is this format doesn't lend itself to it doesn't care about parity. It cares about your record. So in a way, I feel sorry for the ACC because it's, like I said, fun to watch. But whether you're Georgia Tech, Louisville, Virginia, Miami, it could be a tough path if you can't get to Charlotte.
Georgia Tech does have an opportunity to earn it, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
if they beat Pitt and they beat Georgia, that they have proven themselves to be playoff worthy. And I think that is what you want. You want teams to earn it, to go through a tough road and prove their mettle. If they won all their games, but then they lost to Georgia, then they lost the ACC championship game, it's like, did you really earn it? Now they got to earn it. Now they got to beat Georgia. They got to beat a hot Pitt team. And then we'll see if they're in the 12-team field. That's why I want to keep it at 12. I want to keep it at good teams not getting in, and that's what we hope for. So, all right, after Georgia, let's talk Arch Manning. That was the guy we've been talking about, Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Texas wins 34-31. Vanderbilt just missed recovering an onside kick that would have given them a chance with 33 seconds left. Furious comeback in the fourth quarter, but, Arch finished with 25 for 33, 385 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. That's the stat line of a round one draft pick. He led Texas on 6 straight scoring drives to start the game. They're up 34-10. Diego Pavia kind of went to work in the fourth quarter for sure. He finished 27 for 38, 365, 3 touchdowns, plus a rushing touchdown. So Vanderbilt could hold its head high after kind of a disastrous first half, tons of missed tackles, which was uncharacteristic of this team this year. But Texas made them look like a JV team for a little while, but then they fought back. But still, we finally saw the Arch Manning we've been looking for.
Texas has better players. I mean, and that's
Colin Simmons was unblockable, man.
I'm not saying it in a derogatory way toward Vanderbilt, but they have the 4- and 5-star guys, and it showed in the first half. Arch Manning played very well. And again, if you look at the box score, it's pretty even. Both teams converted third downs. I mean, the 2 takeaways I had was, one, I do think Texas will be ranked 10th, 11th tonight. They'll be ranked. And people are saying, why are they there? They have 2 losses. You look at it, it's like, well, they lost to Ohio State and they lost to Florida. And like you were telling me, they maybe didn't look as impressive in some of those wins. But to me, it's like, man, they still beat Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. So you can't have Oklahoma or Vanderbilt ahead of them. I don't know why Oklahoma's ranked ahead of them in the AP poll, quite frankly. Texas ran them off the field in the second half. So I think they'll be ranked around 10. And they do control their own destiny in a weird way. I think the other part of your trivia question, like I could see Texas finishing 9-3 if they split with Georgia and Texas A&M and have a very compelling playoff case. Because this is what we were talking about before. It's like, well, if they didn't play Ohio State, they would be 10-2, and it would be a no-brainer. But you go ahead.
No. I was just saying it's a reflection of this new world,
right,
where Texas has played 5 one-possession games already. Mm-hmm. We're not used to dominating teams, preseason number 1 teams, playing all these close games. And so we kind of ding them. But like everybody's playing close games, except for Indiana and maybe Ohio State. But it's just like we got to get used to the new reality, especially in the SEC, that it just seems like everyone's playing these 1-score games. And they're 3-2, and their win over Oklahoma wasn't a 1-score game. They actually kind of blew them out.
Yeah, and I think that's, like you said, this is the NFL feel of it, and the SEC is marketing SEC all day, and Kirby Smart is talking about how tough all these places are every single week. He's right. I mean, it's tough to win. And then my other takeaway was Vanderbilt went from, if that finishes 34-10, we would have just wrote them off. But, the big question coming into that game was, could Diego Pavia beat Texas with his arm? Because I didn't think they would run the ball well, which they didn't. And he leads 3 really quick touchdown drives. That onside kick, I know, felt for you. It was just sitting there for him.
It was sitting there, Bill.
It was like literally like slow motion watching that ball.
It was on the ground for 5 minutes, I think. And
it was there. But I think Vanderbilt still has a shot. We still have them in the field right now, barely, because it's going to be tough to get 5 or 6.
They're in your.
No, we just had them just out. I had them in, and I put them back out. So they're like right on the fringe, because I don't think we're going to get like 6 SEC playoff teams. We might get 5. Very possible to get 5. And I think the 4, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, they're all pretty safe bets right now. But, trying to get that fifth team, whether it's Texas or Vandy or Oklahoma, I don't think Mizzou. I think Mizzou's going to get eliminated this weekend. My point is, you got to go 10-2 to have a chance.
Speaking of Oklahoma, they upset Tennessee 33-27 in Knoxville. They were outgained by 105 yards. And they also had 11 penalties to Tennessee's 4. But some key turnovers hurt Tennessee. Now the Vols have 3 losses: Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma. That's life in the SEC right now, right? Those are 3 tough losses to swallow. But, you got to win these games.
Yeah, Tennessee, you can say their schedule and all that, but, you can't turn the ball over like that in that game. They didn't value the football. And whether it was the early fumble return for a touchdown, Aguilar had 2 interceptions in the first half that led to Oklahoma field goals. And Oklahoma actually played like an NFL game. They just managed the game better. John Mateer didn't play particularly well in the first half. They had no running game going around him, and then he made some plays in the second half. He isn't Heisman September frontrunner, John Mateer, right now, but he made enough plays on the road.
The disastrous interception, though, at the end of the game that gave Tennessee a chance. Forcing it into this tiny window. Of course, it got deflected and that was picked off, but you can't throw it in there. There was no room. That was a crazy decision by Mateer.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a big win for them. It keeps them alive. They still have to play Oklahoma. I think they still have to play LSU. So their path is not going to be easy. But again, spinning forward to tonight's rankings, I charted this out, Bill. I looked at every victory for who I think is going to be the top 25 ranked teams it's at the time. They beat these teams when they were ranked, and Oklahoma beat Michigan. Auburn was ranked when they played, and they beat Tennessee. So technically they have 3 wins against ranked teams. And that's how that stat works. It's misleading. They're one of your Vandy has 3 wins against ranked teams. South Carolina, LSU, Missouri. Miami has 3 wins against ranked teams. And we should have done Troche trivia. The team with the most wins against ranked teams right now, there's only 1 with 4. It's Alabama, which is a reason why, and we can talk about it later tonight.
I think they did it 4 straight weeks, too.
Yeah, and I think they could be ranked as high as number 2 tonight. I don't think they will because they have a loss, but, Alabama could be – there's a chance they could be ranked ahead of Texas A&M. But for Tennessee, that's 3 losses, probably resorting to spoiler mode. Little bit of a disappointment considering, we talked about this way. I think I wrote it back in September. They're going to look back at that Georgia game and really kick themselves. And that came true.
No doubt. No doubt about it. So we think number 1 will be Ohio State. I want to talk about Julian Sayin, 20 for 23, 316 yards, 4 touchdowns. Another unbelievable stat line for him in Ohio State's 38-14 rout of Penn State. He is now the betting favorite for the Heisman. Sayin leads Mendoza, Ty Simpson, Marcel Reed, Gunnar Stockton, and then Jeremiah Smith is way down there at number 6 in the Heisman odds. Currently, still have a month to go. I was talking to our friend Mike DeCourcy, Sporting News. See what you think of his take, Bill. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
He said Julian Sayin leads the Heisman odds. He's the 3rd best player on their passing offense. How can he win the Heisman Trophy as the most outstanding player when he's the third most important player on that passing offense behind Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith?
I could take it a step further, and this is no disrespect. He might be the 5th best player on that team,
right?
Which is, and that's talking about guys like Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs, and but this is going to become a debate because one, Carnell Tate's amazing now. Not now. He's
incredible.
You have 2 guys that he's throwing to that I would play on my fantasy football team right now. If Jeremiah Smith was in the NFL, I'm sure I would have him on my team. I have some junk receivers right now. Carnell Tate's going to be in the NFL next year. And this is that anybody that watches Ohio State on these Ohio State guys on Sunday, like Jackson Smith and Jigba is incredible for the Seahawks. Harrison had a good game last night for the Cardinals, and he's had some ups and downs. So you just trust the brand. But Mike's right, but 80%, man. 80% completion percentage, that's ridiculous. I don't care who you're throwing to. That's hard. And they throw the ball down the field. They've got a good tight end.
It's the whole Mac Jones thing all over again, right? Mac Jones at Alabama had just unbelievable amount of time, skill position guys off the charts, NFL guys everywhere.
Devontae won the Heisman, right? So
yes.
So, and Najee was in the top 5,
right?
I think. So we may have a situation like that where I don't know if Carnell will get there, but Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayin, I think, will both be in New York. And then it becomes a debate of like, okay, who do you give the Heisman to? We've had that with Reggie Bush and Liner, Dorsey and McGahee. Ohio Bill. What's up, Ohio Bill? Hello. Good morning. But I think he is the front runner right now, but that can change. There's still Fernando Mendoza. There's still, although I would give their Heisman to their 3 running backs right now. Their rushing attack is relentless.
I know.
So, there are other guys that can get in the mix. But Mike has a good point there because he's probably right. But the way Heisman voters behave, tie goes to the quarterback typically.
Tie goes to the quarterback. It is. It's a quarterback award. It has been typically last year. First and second were not quarterbacks, which is interesting. We had a once in a generation in Travis Hunter, of course, and then Ashton Genty was just people recognized what he was, but we are defaulting back to the quarterbacks this year so far. And it'll be an interesting race to see what happens in November.
Well, real
what do you think about DJ's question in the
that's what
chat here?
Right.
Hartline.
So Brian Hartline.
You getting any buzz out there? I haven't seen his name much.
I got a text yesterday, not from a source, but from a fan. Is like, is Brian Hartline a Penn State candidate? And they have Jim Knowles over there. Hartline, I still think before he would go to like Penn State, I was surprised a couple years ago when Cincinnati came open, he interviewed. I was like, that would be a perfect like training wheels job. He's obviously the best receiver recruit person on the planet. Like, it's amazing, their receiver room and the development there. And I think he's fit for a head coaching job soon. The only question is, and this happens with, he is a former Ohio State player like Luke Fickell was. Luke Fickell stayed at Ohio State forever before he, not forever, but it was a while before he took that head coaching job. So it's either, is Hartline going to step out and do that? Or is he going to kind of, what if Ryan Day went to the NFL? Something like that. Then Brian Hartline would be a logical person to take the Ohio State job. And he's done a wonderful job at offensive coordinator. I think a lot of people were worried about, is he going to throw every play? Well, I might throw every play if I've got the guys that he has. So he's done a great job. And I think keep an eye on Penn State, I suppose, but is that why you fired James Franklin?
Right.
That's a tough question.
They're aiming higher. They're aiming for a sitting head coach for sure. Training wheel job. Cincinnati, number 25 in the AP poll.
I mean, at the time,
Ohio Bill calls them a training wheels job.
No, I mean, like when they were before they were in the Big 12 is what I meant. Like now, like a first job. Yeah, then I could say, fine, Bowling Green, where Eddie George is, something like that. But like, you get what I'm saying. Like, Cincinnati and Penn State aren't the same job. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Speaking of open jobs, Auburn joined the list Sunday. They fired Hugh Freeze after a 10-3 loss to Kentucky. I was looking this up, Bill. Since 1998, that's your you like to start a lot of statistics.
Like history start.
Yeah. Say what?
BCS era, modern
1998,
football.
yes. Right. So since 1998, assuming Auburn has a losing season this year, they're 4-5. They've got Alabama still to come. This will be their 9th losing season since 1998. In that same time period, they only have 5 double-digit win seasons. How good of a program is this thing?
It's in all the years I've covered college football for Sporting News, and Ken Bradley, he was my first editor, by the way. He works at The Athletic now. He was an Auburn grad, and we just agreed that they are there's no point in doing a preseason projection for Auburn because they're the most unpredictable program in all of college football, in my opinion, because you can rule them out. The problem now is they've become a little bit predictable, like 5-7 or 6-6 seems
This
about
is
right.
could be their 5th straight losing season, which is amazing.
And they've lost a lot of close games. They are competitive. Jordan Hare has a rep of a tough place to play, and that's bared out. I mean, Georgia had trouble winning there, and other teams have had trouble going in there and winning. Missouri did. But they're losing the games. So, and then every once in a while, like the Cam Newton season or the Nick Marshall miracle season with the kick six, they put out a SEC championship caliber team, which is bizarre. So being an Auburn fan has to be a hell of an experience because you literally have no idea on a week-to-week basis. Now, the next guy they hire, and man, that is going to have the other thing when you do that coaching list, it could be anybody. It could be John Summerall. It could be James Franklin. It could be, they hired Boise State's coach once, Brian Harsin. Didn't work out, and I think they're getting impatient because they should be a competitive program in this SEC right now. And they have talent. They have Cam Coleman. They have Keldrick Falk. So is it a good job? Yes. Are you in Alabama's shadow? Yes. But not as much as you were when Saban was there. So I think there's an opportunity for whoever coaches there next to do a good job, which they just haven't done. What was that stat you sent me yesterday about like how many different coaches have coached in the Iron Bowl from Auburn in like the last however many years?
This will be the 7th straight Iron Bowl with a different coaching matchup than the previous year because of interim coaches. 2020, actually, Saban sat out because of COVID.
That's right.
Then
he wasn't there.
Yeah. So we haven't had a repeat Iron Bowl coaching matchup in 7 years. And this year will be, this year will be the 7th. So
that's a wild stat for sure.
That is wild. That is definitely wild. I think they should focus on Summerall from the beginning and do anything they can to get him. Summerall has a big game Friday night. A lot of eyeballs will be on that one. Tulane against Memphis on ESPN. Big stage for him and his candidacy for wherever he goes. But he seems like a good fit, I think, for Auburn. That's what they need. They don't need the home run big guy like James Franklin type thing. I think they just need a guy that's going to win some games. And everything else will take care of itself.
And DM's asking, what's the Big Ten equivalent? I would probably say Michigan State, in the shadow of the other one in other school in your state. There was
pops up every once in a while.
Mark D'Antonio brought stability to them. And Mel Tucker had a really good team the one year. Mm-hmm. They've won big, sort of. I mean, and then they can bite you on it. Playing at Spartan Stadium can be a tough place to play. So I think that's a really good comp, at least from my end.
Yeah.
I've always compared Michigan State to Texas A&M. Auburn might be the better comp.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's get back to Troche trivia. Then we can get out of here. So 9 of the teams in the initial top 12 of the CFP rankings eventually made last year's playoff. Can you name the 3 teams that fell out of the initial top 12 and then the 3 teams that climbed back in and actually made the playoff?
Well, Bama's definitely in, right? They were probably top 12.
Bama fell out. That's one of the 3 that fell out. Yes.
Ole Miss?
No.
They were not in the top 12.
They were close, but they were not.
I'm going to be in trouble now.
Well, there's one pretty famous one
that fell out of the top 12.
Yeah. After they lost to Syracuse.
Who lost to Syracuse last year? Oh, Miami. Yeah, there you go. Miami, that I should have got quickly.
Miami fell out. Alabama fell out.
I was going to say South Carolina, but I don't know that they did. They were probably one that rose in close. Give me like a hint.
They were undefeated at the time of the first ranking, but a surprise undefeated team.
BYU.
Yes.
Okay.
You are correct.
That.
And then the 3 teams that climbed back in.
Oh, Arizona State.
Correct.
Clemson.
They weren't even in the top 25.
Clemson was probably off the radar right then.
Clemson, correct.
And then I think SMU was in the top 12. Notre Dame was still outside the top 12.
Reversed.
The SMU was.
SMU was out. They were 8-1, but they didn't have the respect yet. They didn't.
They needed to earn the
Notre
respect.
Dame was in already.
Where was South Carolina in the first rankings? They must have climbed.
They were a fringe team too.
Yeah, they were probably like at 18-ish. So, yeah, I mean, this is one that I should just listen to DJ there. You know, I always say you want to be. It's a good thing if you're in the top 12 because we're running out of games.
Yes.
You know, so you want to be there. And if you have 0 losses at this point, you should make it.
So reminder to everyone listening, we will be live at 8:00 tonight. We can watch the show with you. We'll give you our instant sort of reactions. We'll see what the committee thinks of the SEC and the Big Ten, and both at the top of the poll and at the bottom of the poll. Tells you the thoughts on their strength of schedule and things like that. We'll see if Iowa and Washington get in there. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And like we said, it's a good idea to be inside the top 12 of that first poll. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us here at the CFB Nation YouTube channel. Thank you to everyone for listening to the CFB Nation All-America podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you to Irish Breakdown, your source for Notre Dame football information. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you tonight at 8:00 Eastern Time.